So in other words, what you're saying basically is that because there is a Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that because the very act of observation changes what you're observing, that somehow this allows, if I can extrapolate from what you said, that this allows for a multiplicity of realities, because if 10 people observe the same thing and the uncertainty principle applies, what you have are 10 different changes.
I think there's one caveat here, and I think it's very important, if I may. The way we think about this planet is a living organism. Many people feel this. This is the Gaia theory. I believe in it. I think it is us. And we're created here to understand who we are and who this planet is.
Well, let me interrupt you for 1 second, because there is a division, and I'm going to get to both of you. There is a division in the world of ufology, okay? The division is this. There are those who say that the theory of Gaia and New Age have no place in ufology. And there are those who say it has every place in ufology. And because I publish UFO Magazine, which I hope you all subscribe to, because I publish UFO Magazine, this is a debate that we engage in at every single issue's editorial meeting. Every single editorial meeting, there's this debate. Why should we, a science magazine, be dealing with New Age, and why should we have concepts like love and this and that? And why? We're in UFO Magazine. Another group says, don't you understand? That's the premise of UFO Magazine. It is New Age. Go to the bookstores. Where are all the UFO books? They're not in history. They're in New Age. So that's something that we debate all the time. Let me, if I can, bring it together. What Ingo Swann said, and I'm not thinking of him as a great guru, I'm saying that sometimes somebody can bring together science and spirit into one moment, and when that happens, it explains a lot of things. So to answer your specific question, then get to the other two, it is this, three. It is this, that if you can take that what the remote viewers found was that there is this matrix of the living and the non-living, rocks and dirt, and basically the William Wordsworth clump of earth, as well as living, trees and animals, all they were in one matrix, is what Swann said. Not I, Swann. And that when you bounced off those numbers, the reason remote viewing worked, and does work, is that you enter this huge matrix beyond a Jungian collective unconscious, a huge matrix where everything participates. Hence, that's where you go. And that's the knowledge you share. And if Ingo Swann is right, and I don't know that he's right, but if Ingo Swann is right, it is this interface between the spiritual and the science. And the reason it's so fascinating to me, if we take it one step further, is why the remote viewing program succeeded and failed, succeeded and failed, and these people burned out. The reason was, again, working from the Gaian principle. What if you took something, this person, Paul Smith, said, when you remote viewed, there was this moment of exaltation. It was beautiful because you were part of a great link of existence. You were more than you were. You were part of this celestial link, he said. At that moment, imagine your task is to set up somebody for an assassination. That's your task. Where is Ivanov? We're going to assassinate him in Afghanistan. Imagine that's your task. Imagine weaponizing something that's essentially good. Hence, people in the remote viewing program burned out. They couldn't do it. They were taking something that was, let's say, the apex of morality and applying to it a corporeal weapon. Okay? That's why the remote viewing program ran into problems. So it's you, then it's you, then it's you. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about the 11 dimension theory, that there are 11 dimensions that possibly exist at the same time. Are you familiar with the fact that if you influence one thing in one area, it has a ripple effect?
The question is the theory of multiple dimensions, 11 dimensions, and influencing something on one dimension, influence something on the other dimension. That's like the multi-brain universe, or the different membranes. Essentially, the theory of non-locality is that if you have quantum elements that need not be in the same timeline or same dimension, and you influence one, there's an identical particle in another dimension that's also influenced. In other words, to extrapolate that, if all of us at one moment prior to time were all one, because we were all in this singularity, and it's true by definition, that had to be. If the Big Bang Theory is correct, doesn't it make sense that everybody in this room, the mass of all of us, were at one point beyond time, we were one, right? And the Big Bang happened, and we expanded. But what if we expanded into multiple universes? Then might there be a version of you and you and you? Maybe you have her hair, he has your shirt. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I'm spitballing. And an influence on one dimension influences another. So if I feel really bad this morning about getting up really early for breakfast because I had just a bad feeling about doing it, so I went back to the room, I wanted to do some more reading, might I not be foreseeing the future, but might on another level I've been seeing the past and it already happened? And as I said, I'm spitballing, but that would explain it. I promised you, and you had a question. Go ahead. I have to really speak loud.
Speak up so we can pick it up on the tape.
Related to time. So if the timeline is modified, what is the experience that everybody on the planet has in that moment? I mean,
Well,
is there a change?
I don't.
Or is there no,
In this wonderful book by, I think it's Tom Gillick, I think, when he talks about the butterfly wings, and he's talking about if there's a wave effect and a ripple effect. Maybe the ripple effect is so tiny and so minute. The question is, if there is a ripple on the timeline, does that wash across all multiverses, all times? Do we all feel it? I want to say yes, but I don't know how to measure it, and I don't know how to tell you how you can tell that it's happening, but I can tell you this, that there are those who claim to be so sensitive that that ripple effect does have an effect. And hence, maybe there are seers. Maybe there are people who can who can see things on such a quantum level, if that makes any sense, and that they can experience that. Then I promised you.
I'm trying to understand this timeline and the ship concept. When Mr. Corso just left the room, somebody said, well, what could you build it for? And he said, $2 million. So is what he's saying that, for starters, he could build a ship in a couple of years for so many $1 million, send it back to the day that Roswell happened, and then what would that do? How would our lives be different now? I don't quite understand what he's saying.
On the George Norrie show, I'm going to answer it in a roundabout way. The question is, give an aircraft builder a few $1 million, and he builds this time ship, and the time ship goes back, and he says, why? I mean, what's it going to do?